Hey, what's happening, Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. And we are within a month of the NFL draft. So now, on these days where there's not as much like pressing Dolphins news, if they're not signing a free agent, if it's more of a relaxed day, I want to hone in on a draft prospect that I think might be a good fit for the team. So I want to kick that off today. And the first player that I have for these draft player profiles, you can see it right there. Troy Andersen, linebacker out of Montana State. But before we get into these breakdowns, I'm going to be talking some player strengths, some weaknesses. I want to let you know how I see them as a potential fit with the Dolphins. But before I get to that, you know my thing, I can't have a lazy listener. We got to give you a little homework. So if you like Troy Andersen, if you like what you're hearing about him, if you think he'd be a good fit with the Dolphins, go ahead and give this the thumbs up. Regardless, let's hear your comments on Andersen if you've watched some game tape of his as well. Outside of leaving those comments, if you have a player in mind that you'd like me to take a look into, if I haven't already, if you want me to add to my list of players that I'll break down, go ahead and drop that into the comments as well. But like I said, the first thing I want to hone in on here is his strength. The first thing that pops off when you're watching his film is the athleticism and the range that he shows. And yeah, he's a great athlete. In his time at Montana State, easy for you to say, he played quarterback, he played running back, he played linebacker. He's an outright athlete, and versatility is not going to be an issue for him. But he's got the size, he's got the speed to get sideline to sideline. There's not many people that are going to be able to outrun him. You see his 40-yard dash time on there. He was flying for a linebacker. But he's a consistent tackler. He has power to just lay big hits when he does get to the ball carrier. So that athleticism just jumps off the screen when you're watching him. But the thing I probably like the most about him is that ability to just be a coverage linebacker. His athleticism shines when he is in coverage. He can play some zone. He can play some man. There's plenty of film out there of him going one-on-one against running backs, tight ends, even some slot guys. But the thing is, you gotta tread a little bit lightly. He played at Montana State. The slot receivers he was going against aren't anywhere near the caliber he's going to be seeing in the NFL. So maybe we can't go quite that far with him in coverage, but with the tape that we have, with what he has shown against running backs, against tight ends, everything has been fine when it comes to coverage. And lastly, one of his top strengths is that ability to finish. I talked about him being a consistent tackler. When he can avoid being blocked, when he can roam, when he takes the right steps, he's finishing that tackle. He's a strong tackler. I said he makes big hits on running backs. That's not a weakness of his. That's a pretty good thing that we've got going for us there if we were able to land Troy Andersen. But we got to move on to some weaknesses, because if we're looking at, we don't have a pick in the first or second round. If we're looking at prospects in rounds 3, 4, 5, obviously there's going to be weaknesses with some of these players. So we look at Andersen's weakness, and I talked about him playing running back and receiver and linebacker. With that, that's game reps, that's practice reps, that he wasn't sticking to just one position. So yeah, he's raw. He's inexperienced. He's going to lead to the other things that I have on there, the missteps and being stuck on blocks. So if he takes a wrong step, if he takes an unnecessary step, he kind of takes himself out of the play a lot of times. So yeah, he's not flawless by any means. He has to work on disengaging and getting off of those blocks, because once he gets out of the play, he's not the heaviest guy in the world. He struggles with that disengagement, and he's kind of takes himself out of the play. But that can help be kind of nullified moving forward with better coaching and the ability to just hone in on that one position. So those are some things he'll probably have to work on at the next level. But we look at him with his fit with the Dolphins, or honestly, this first one kind of comes down to whatever team he lands with in the NFL. I see him being an early contributor on special teams. With that speed, with that energy that he brings, with the ability to be a big hitter, I just see him flying down the field and making plays early on special teams. But what I think he can develop into is that linebacker that excels in pass coverage. He's only going to get better at this point in time. And like I said earlier, with the right coaching, with the right experience, that's a part of his game he can hone in on. But I think with that versatility, he has got the ability to stay on the field on all downs. And what I mean by that, we talk sometimes about 3-down linebackers and 2-down linebackers, meaning if you're good against the run and all of a sudden you need to be off the field on passing downs, That's different personnel you're having to play with. That's the offense kind of dictating what you're doing from a defensive scheme. If he can stay on the field for all 3 downs and be that impactful against the run and get sideline to sideline and not be a liability in coverage, he has that versatility where if it can all click, if it can all come together, he could be a 3 down linebacker. And that's quite the that'd be quite the accomplishment for a guy that pretty much played a bunch of different positions throughout his time in college and just pretty much excelled at everything he was doing. But that's what I've got for Troy Andersen. I look forward to hearing your comments as well. And like I said, if you have a player that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, have me dive into, if I haven't done so already, go ahead and drop that into the comments. Oh, one last thing as well. The last video I did with Ryan Tracy from the Locked On Chiefs podcast. If you haven't checked that one out yet, go back, find that one because Ryan does a great job. He's been watching Tyreek his entire NFL career. He can give you a little bit more insight as to what we might be getting from Tyreek as a Miami Dolphin. There was some good stuff there. I know a lot of us think it's Tyreek Hill. We know pretty much everything there is to know about him. Ryan has some more insight as to how the Dolphins may use him differently, what he means for other skill players, what he means for Tua Tagovailoa. It's just a lot of good insight from a guy that follows Tyreek and the Chiefs. So that's what I've got for today. Until next time, Dolphins fans, enjoy your day.